It's time for one final dance in the GT Cup Europe Championship in 2023. The final round of the season coming from Barcelona, the 4.657 kilometer circuit, producing the final round of the season. It's another 50-minute encounter. Second race of the weekend for this GT Cup machinery, consisting of Porsches, Lamborghinis, Mercedes and Ferraris, 4 different manufacturers represented at the front of the field after a very competitive qualifying session that saw Marzio Moretti take pole position, Lamborghini's first weekend in the GT Cup Europe, a season where we have welcomed Ferrari to the grid as the cars make their way to the starting grid now. We have welcomed so far Ferrari to the grid, and now Mercedes and Lamborghini joining us for the final round of the season, in addition to the Porsches that we're used to seeing out on track. And we have the teams championship sorted, we have the drivers, both Pro-Am and Am, sorted, but we're going to go for one final race here to see who can come out on top once again. My name is Chris Stevens, alongside me is George Morgan for the final time this season. And George, I think we're just about catching our breath after a very dramatic international GTOpen title fight. It's quite nice that we don't have that same pressure for this one.
Well, as all things happen, it's certainly when it comes down to dramatic grand finales, we certainly did witness that in the International GT Open. And of course, in the GT Cup Open, despite things still, coming down to the final race, it certainly looks like Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas are going to seal the deal on this one. Of course, they'll try and get it across the line today just to make sure of that fact here this afternoon. But nevertheless, credit as well goes to Jan Lauritsen, taking 2 race wins now this campaign since returning back at Monza after winning yesterday. Of course, this time the task has been made that much harder with the introduction of the Lamborghini that has since gone pole here at this point, with Marzio Moretti at the wheel, who at only 21 years of age and backed by the Lamborghini team, of course driving essentially as a junior as part of that outfit as well. And they hail the exploits of this young man who has now entered the fold in their under their race car, and certainly here representing Oregon in their first venture in GT Cup Open competition. And we only hope that they, of course, will make that a full-time campaign next season. And speak of the devil, there is the car right now. They've also got Patera joining him as well, who's also a fascinating driver to look at. That, of course, being Enrico Patera, the touring car driver, who has taken part in Italian Touring Car Championships as well, and has also been crowned a Coppa Italia champion in the past too, but now making his way around the track to form up on the grid in what can only be described as a sensational ending to what has been an absolutely extraordinary season, with certainly a great shift in the amount of manufacturers, drivers, not to mention teams as well, that have joined this championship in comparison to last year that was mainly flooded with Porsche. And whilst we still have a great representation of Porsche here on the grid, with Q1 Track Racing and GDL very much making certainly the headlines in terms of the Porsche outfits that are represented here, we do of course have the likes of Lamborghini, Ferrari at the very start, that have now brought themselves into the fold. And we can understand, just getting word in my ear as well, that there is a Ferrari having problems. The number 17 Ferrari of Andrea Bellici having issues already at the start.
That's Rosso Corsa Racing, and they were due to start from the second row of the grid in 4th. There was the head Ferrari. We had Lamborghini, Porsche, Mercedes and Ferrari all in the top 4 in qualifying, but it seems like that lead Ferrari has got some sort of problem that will prevent it taking the start. But we'll keep an eye out on that, because we've still got a few minutes left until we are due to go green. This race due to get underway at 10 minutes past the hour. Might be running slightly ahead of schedule. So the last few cars making their way to the grid. But Marzio Moretti, as we were talking about him, very familiar with this car, having run in Super Trofeo Europe for the last 2 seasons, a race winner in that series, having made the switch from single-seaters to GTs in 2019 with the Ultimate Cup Series, racing in Carrera Cup Italia as well in 2020 and 2021, and then making the switch over to Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And we saw in qualifying just how much weight transfer that thing has. When it gets on the anchors, the nose of the car absolutely dives forward, and then you can see it lean over through the corners as well. It's absolutely fantastic to watch on a qualifying lap. But how will it go in race trim? That is the question. Of course, a lot of these Cup cars are used to running in shorter race distances, and but the Porsche really is the only Cup car designed for endurance as well. Of course, they have their own class at the Nürburgring 24 hours as well. But certainly the Ferrari has had to have some alterations made to it to not only adapt to the GT Cup Europe regulations, but also last the 50-minute races when they're used to running only 25-minute races in Ferrari Challenge. But here's a look at second on the grid, Jan Lauritsen, who won yesterday, and following up from his victory at Monza on return as well. Drafted in to rather help Q1 Track Racing's Teams Championship effort there as well, and doing a good job of doing so. This is the Mercedes from NM Racing that lines up on the second row of the grid. That car initially bred for GT2 racing, adapted to GT Cup regulations. And then fourth place was going to be Andrea Bellici's Rosso Corsa Racing Ferrari 488 Challenge, but not on the grid, as you can see. So the next car will be the AM leaders, which will be Quentin Antonelli and Xander Prispalak, two Q1 Track Racing Porsches, lining up 5th and 6th. There is Quentin Antonelli, the Frenchman, aboard the number 57 car, a racing karting graduate, and also combining this with his Carrera Cup experience as well. There's our AM champions for 2023, Xander Prispalak and Laurent van der Velde aboard the number 52 car. I was going to try and have a listen in and see what they're saying there, but they're talking in either French or Flemish. I couldn't quite see the difference there. But speaking of champions, our new 2023 champions overall, Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, they go from 7th on the grid today.
Yeah, they'll definitely like to close out as well in style if they can. Alex Ryman, who's also been a feel-good factor coming in to this championship too, looking to try and bring back some of the best results that he has brought to the forefront. Has been there and up in the mix on various occasions. Is in fact a race winner, back at Paul Ricard in race 1, eventually taking a P4 in the following race. Hasn't necessarily scored anything of the sorts as we take a look at the empty grid space just beside that of the NM Racing Mercedes, Andrea Bellici, and certainly hasn't yet taken to the start, which is a huge shame, at least for that Ferrari. It has certainly shown a lot of promise historically as well, as we now see more cars. Lovely drone shots that we get to see across this grid as we take a look at the Mertel Motorsport car getting set for yet another run in this grand finale here at Barcelona. The combination of Steven Licorice and Luca Ludwig currently sat on the grid as well as we await to get underway.
Highlights from yesterday's race, it was Jan Lauritsen leading, Fabio Babini off the line, but a big move from the number 80 Mertel Motorsport car, and then this big contact for Evgeny Leonov as well, which spun one car around, and then the Kessel Racing car spearing across the track and taking 3 cars with him as well. Very messy start to the race, but Jan Lauritsen was leading and building up an advantage up at the front of the field. Then we had side-by-side between that Mertel Ferrari and Babini's Porsche from ZRS as well, the number 78 machine, which was running very strong in the early stages of the race as Jan Lauritsen established a nice lead, but he had 20 seconds of handicap to take, and he had to work his way back up the order after the pit stop phase. First of all, making his move on the NM Racing Mercedes, and then going on to take the victory ahead of the Mercedes and the Lamborghini pairing. That got a big celebration from the Q1 Track Racing team as they moved ahead in the Teams Championship. Here's a look at the standings. Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas are confirmed champions ahead of Laurent van der Velde and Xander Prispalak, who are confirmed AM champions in 2023. Race 2 about to get underway then. Here is how they will line up for the finale of the 2023 campaign. It's Marzio Moretti in the sole Lamborghini from Team Oregon on pole position alongside Jan Lauritsen's Q1 Track Racing Porsche. Then the Mercedes from NM Racing of Luc Arbanes and Andrea Bellici missing from 4th place in the Rosso Corsa Racing Ferrari. The AM leaders, Quentin Antonelli and Xander Prispalak, both from Q1 Track Racing, line up 5th and 6th. There's champion Ivan Velasco in 7th, ahead of Alex Ryman, who'll be looking to add another victory to his campaign after Paul Ricard. Evgeny Leonov looking for first points since Spa, and Fernando Navarrete completing the top 10. Eugenio Pisani and Davide Scudiccio line up on the 6th row of the grid. That's SP Racing from ZRS. Stephen Licorice in the other Mertel car, then Indrik Jaska for EST1 Racing lines up 14th. Camille Perriand and Roberto Fecchio, that's one of the GTL Porsches, in 15th and 16th. And then at the back of the grid will be Stefano Zerbi in the number 11 SP Racing Porsche. One of the older models that we still have on the grid. Wonderful combination of Ferrari 488 Challenges, Porsche 911 Cup cars. That's the 992 and the 991.2, as we can see there for SP Racing. And of course the Lamborghini and the Mercedes that we were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, now getting set on the formation lap to get the tyres warmed up. Of course, plenty of Michelin rubber laid down. Of course, the tyres they're using here in the GT Cup Open are essentially the same ones they use, not the same that the GTOpen cars obviously used earlier on today. So very much getting to grips once again with similar rubber that they would have used last season. Of course, will be new to maybe a couple of drivers that have just debuted in this championship. As we take a look at the 52 Porsche of Xander Prisbalak, that now looks to get himself set and ready to go again. Of course, plenty of battles across the board as we now ride on board here with Ivan Velasco, who will be swapping out for Jorge Cabezas later on in the stint. Your GT Cup Open champions, of course, now taking the crown this year with Jan Lauritsen, who's on the front row. Essentially, he was going to be running alongside Marzio Moretti, looking to become yet another, well, for the second time this weekend, a race winner. As we take a look at Patera, that's of course been Enrico Patera, who's watching on and hoping that Marzio Moretti can deliver the goods for the Oregon outfit.
Race 2 about to get underway. They fly into formation now. It's a 17-car field. We have lost 2 from the initial entry list. One of them, of course, being the Rosso Corsa Racing Ferrari as well. So actually, we're down to 16 cars with that. But Marzio Moretti, the 21-year-old Italian, will lead them out to the final corner as the safety car peels into pit lane now. And the Lamborghini will put its foot to the floor and will be underway for the final race of the GT Cup Europe in 2023. Moretti and Lauritsen on the front row of the grid. As we look towards the lights now, it's lights out in Barcelona for the season finale. Lauritsen getting away very nicely indeed and just drawing ahead of Moretti as they bound down the 600-meter run towards the first corner. But look at the NM Racing Mercedes charging down the outside and into the lead of the race. A fantastic start from Luke Ibanez. He leads but goes a little bit wide, as does Lauritsen, and Moretti able to slip back through into second place. And so Lauritsen has actually ended up losing out in all of that as the 57 Q1 track racing Porsche of Quentin Antonell looks to have made up places. He's into 4th.
Yep, the 2 newcomers to the series taking the initial lead already. Ibanez now in front in the Mercedes. You saw the aggressive nature of the front end of that Merc, really slamming right back down on the brakes. You'll see it again heading through to Seat as they make their way through. The Lamborghini doing exactly the same. Jan Lauritsen trying not to give up any places to Quentin Antonell, who in behind is representing the AM conglomerate, leading AM in this classification as they now take the climb heading through towards Vert Curve. Further back, Fernando Navarrete trying to chase after Ivan Velasco as well. Evgeny Leonov has also been right in the thick of it, looking to try and gain some places back that he might have lost. He's chasing after Navarrete now as they make their way through towards this next right-hander for the first time. 48 minutes and 45 to go. It's Ibanez in front.
But Moretti challenging once again down into turn 1. We've got Evgeny Leonov on the inside here of what looks to be Alex Ryman's EST1 Racing, and finally Evgeny Leonov has actually made it. Well, actually, I won't speak too soon. We're not quite at the end of the first lap just yet, and he's side by side now with the Mertel Ferrari. Haven't got past Ryman there. He's now looking at Navarrete for 6th place, I think that is. Side by side through the penultimate corner, and the Ferrari just hanging out ahead for now. We've got a great onboard view of this battle from Xander Prisbalak's car, and Ryman now coming back at Leonov. He's got a bad run down the straight, but the first lap completed. Ibanez leads Moretti, Lauritsen, Antonell, Velasco, then Navarrete and Ryman and Leonov side by side for 7th place. And Leonov down the outside, and Ryman's not taking this one lying down at all. And Xander Prispalak trying to get involved in that as well. 3 Porsches going absolutely hammer and tongs here as Leonov goes out wide. And Ryman just about manages to hang on to the place. And for Leonov, he's survived a first lap for the first time in a while, but he's going to lose another place here to Xander Prispalak. Remember, that Volcano motorsport car hasn't scored points since it won the Spa Enduro all the way back in May.
Yeah, he might lose out a little more as well, because Eugenio Pisani is not far away either. Would have looked to perhaps take full advantage of that fact too, as they look to make their way up Firth Curve. There's Quentin Antonell, who's now taking the climb up the hill, still giving chase after Jan Laurisson. Ibanez now controlling the lead, with Moretti in second place, losing the lead obviously that he got from being on pole position after a splendid qualifying session for Team Oregon at the very start of the day. As they now make the descent now down through towards the next left out of turn 10. Of course, this being the Lakea bend here this time, they all commit to the inside as best they can before taking the climb up through turn 11 and turn 12, where they then beckon their way around Bank San Bedell to lead them down yet another descent out of the Europe car corner, down swooping into New Holland now as we ride on board once again. You can just see in the distance under Prispalak. We're riding on board here with Evgeny Leonov as he now makes his way out onto the power once again. Mertel car as well, just making its way around this final corner. That, of course, being Fernando Navarrete, who now looks to put his foot down once again. He's being chased down by Alex Ryman, who managed to get past the likes of Xander Prispalak as well, who's only 4/10 away from them. Navarrete, who's done a great job of just maintaining the pace in the corners, able to utilise the straight line speed in that Ferrari to maintain his position out there on track in the classification as well. But keenly enough, 1.6 behind Velasco, who's in pretty much no man's land. He's 1.5 behind Quentin Antonell, as we now see another battle kicking off here between Alex Ryman and Navarrete.
That's for 6th place going through turn 3. Ryman hanging on to that place from Leonov we saw earlier, and Leonov now actually behind Pisani as well. So this has not been a very good start to Evgeny Leonov's race. We're used to seeing him fighting him much further up the order. I think he's actually just lost a place to Kamil Perian as well in the back of shot. Yeah, side by side there. I almost wonder if there's a problem on that Volcano motorsport car, but this battle for 6th place closing up very nicely. The Mertel Motorsport Ferrari number 19 leading it. Alex Ryman in 47, the young Estonian studying law at De Montfort University, and also studying engineering as well. Very talented young man at 18 years of age, and looking to add an awful lot more of Carrera Cup experience to his resume next year. Tries to get underneath Navarrete here, but can't find a way through on the Ferrari. Got to be careful for Prispalak, who's waiting in the wings as well. He's currently 3rd in class. Navarrete moving up to 2nd in AM in the early stages of the race. Alex Ryman in the top class, which is Pro-Am.
Yeah, certainly is. Antonell currently leads the AM conglomerate as well, heading through now down the straight once again as we begin yet another lap. There we take a look at the leaders as Moretti looks to bring himself closer to Ibanez in his NM Racing Mercedes, the Mercedes-AMG GT Cup car that now makes its way and charges out of turn 2. Turn 3 coming up next as well, so we see it coming together this time. Alex Ryman and Xander Prispalak, who was a little bit laid away from the apex heading out of turn 2. But has really corrected that issue now as he looks to follow Alex Ryman around. And you can just see the difference, how the Porsche is able to handle in the corners, and that could provide an opportunity here for Ryman, should he be able to send it. And you can just see that defensive effort here from Navarrete, who sends it to the inside. Ryman goes outside, inside for Prispalak, who looks to try and take him on as they make their way out of Repsol. Couldn't quite get the place, but Ryman was very nearly in trouble there.
Yeah, it certainly was. And wide for Navarrete again here. That's an open door for Alex Ryman to walk through, and for Xander Prispalak. So Ryman's gone through into 6th place, and Prispalak going to try and follow him on the braking for turn 7. He gets it done, both cars through. Navarrete down to 8th.
Yeah, certainly are, as you know, see the 52 Porsche clamber through Xander Prispalak. Obviously now with Ryman taking full advantage here at this point. Both cars, though, going through and looking to obviously launch a charge further up the classification. Obviously, that is the difference maker. We've seen it time and time again this season. It really did show at Portimao the difference in straight line speed between the Ferrari and the Porsche. But then when the corners came into play, that is where the Porsche can really show what it can muster. As you now see, the top two make their way around the final corner. It's still NM Racing's Mercedes that leads, of Luke Ibanez, Marzio Moretti as well, not far behind in the Lamborghini Oregon team in their debut appearance this season in the GT Cup Open Championship. They went close earlier on today in the International GT Open Championship, heading it down to a grand finale. Of course, the team have tasted gold in the past, with obviously championship wins last season in the main side of the series as well. The International GT Open providing Benjamin Hites and Leonardo Polcini with championships for this Oregon team outfit. This time they've put a Super Trofeo car in the mix here. This time around in GT Cup, another look down the inside from the 21-year-old Marzio Moretti, who looks to try and launch a charge and pull no punches here against the Mercedes, and a tighter line might prove fruitful as they head down towards Seat. He'll cut through to the inside, open up the door. Fantastic display from Marzio Moretti, and takes the lead of the race here now with 42 minutes to go.
A lovely move there from Moretti. Serves Ibanez with the charge at the start, but just over 9 minutes into this race, Moretti's taking it back. And here's a replay of how Navarrete lost 2 places here. A bit wide there, and Ryman squeezed through on the inside. Prisbalak followed him through as well. We'll watch it on board again from Prisbalak. The young Belgian. So he had the momentum. And here's that lead changing hands once again. Lovely move down the inside into turn 5. Not much Ibanez could have done with that, and he's now going to stretch his legs. I think Jan Lauritsen just sitting in the wings there. Of course, that Lamborghini is unhandicapped. The Mercedes behind it is for 5 seconds, and Lauritsen, of course, got to take quite a fair bit of handicap actually as a result of having 2 wins in 3 races. So we could see the order shake up quite dramatically actually. But for Moretti, the race leader, unhandicapped, but of course he's got to hand over to his bronze driver Enrico Pitera in the second half of this race.
Yeah, obviously the 20 seconds could hurt Jan Lauritsen quite extensively, and obviously with Amsterdam currently sat in behind, he's only 2.5 seconds away. Could be a huge bonus for him, because of course he doesn't have to serve any penalties at this point, and will be swapping out, of course, for Nicolas van Dierendonk when we make our way in the latter stages of this race. And the driver change window will open up in 11 minutes and 30 time. But still, it's Marzio Moretti there, as we see Indrek Jaska looking to make moves of his own. Currently sat in 15th, with Stefano Zerbi currently sat in 16th place, but Jaska trying to battle against Vecchio and has made the move and moved up into 14th.
Yeah, that's the second EST1 racing car there, and we get a glimpse of the 81 Myrtle art car there as well, with Stephen Licorice at the wheel. Alexander Prisbalak hasn't given up the ghost here on Alex Ryman either. Prisbalak in 52. Another new driver graduating from karting very recently. He's only 20 years old. He's done some car racing in the Belgian Endurance Championship last year. And one of the youngest drivers in the field. I think that honour does go to the car in front of him, though, Alex Ryman, at just 18 years of age. Of course, Q1 track racing, familiar name to watchers of the Carrera Cup Benelux series. See Evgeny Leonov still losing places, down to 11th now behind Davide Scanicchio. His last lap was 6 seconds slower than the race leader. I do wonder if there's some sort of problem on that Volcano Motorsport Porsche. These 2 Porsches charging forward and closing up to Ivan Velasco for 5th place as well, as Ryman was about 1.5 seconds quicker than Velasco last time around. Meanwhile, race leader Marzio Moretti just on the fastest lap of the race, 1:45.438. His lead now 2 seconds over the NM Racing Mercedes.
Yeah, 2 seconds now the gap, and still harnessing that effort, as well as we now see the battle starting to erupt. The EST1 this time of Alex Ryman looking to try and get in on Ivan Velasco. He'll be swapping out for Cabezas when the driver change period opens up, and they've got 10 seconds to serve under the handicap situation as well. Alex Ryman has 10 seconds as well to serve, so he is not out of the question of serving a handicap here at this stage. Evgeny Leonov, on top of suffering whatever he is suffering right now, he also has 10 seconds to serve during the pit stop phase as well, as the cars now make the climb once again and through towards, this time, turn 9. You can now see Alex Ryman going to try and tuck in deep to the inside in order to generate a little bit more pace heading down the straight, but unable to really garner anything here so far on Ivan Velasco, who is really managing the pace well. And obviously when Cabezas steps in, was a very fast driver in his own right as well, and has done certainly plenty of work as a driver across many different platforms, and is so vastly experienced, a tutor as well of many. I'm sure Velasco has learned a thing or two from him as well, as they descend now, heading through the bottom the last 2 corners on this circuit. 37 and 30 still to go. 7 laps concluded here by Moretti, with Ibanez 2.6 away now. Another 6/10 put upon Ibanez here at this point. Lorison barely staying within a second here as well. Przybyłak now hunting on the back of Alex Ryman, might yet get the slipstream as well, because Alex Ryman's suffering without the straight line speed on the Ferrari, because the Ferrari is so much better in a straight line. Przybyłak now leaving it late into turn 1, has done superbly well to get the place. Ryman did look to perhaps get the undercut or the overcut to try and get him back again. Look to the side-by-side heading through, and look to swap sides heading through turn 2 and out of turn 3, but Przybyłak doing enough to maintain the place, and now moves up to P6.
Oh, heck of a late braking manoeuvre, wasn't it, on the inside from Sander Przybyłak there. Oh, I get to see it again. But,
made the corner.
Yeah, 6th place being exchanged there as Ryman drops down. Q1 Track Racing getting one over EST1 Racing into turn 1. Still the Murtel Ferrari leading that trio. But Sander Przybyłak making his way through on the young Estonian.
Fantastic move. And, obviously now Ryman will have his chance to fight back as well. These two seeming so equally matched here at this stage. Definitely not right off Ryman to make yet another move. And incidentally, you can just see, and we're looking from the data as well, 264 kilometers per hour here for Sander Przybyłak down the main straight, and obviously allowing him to launch a charge, and obviously utilising the slipstream. I think that Ryman was getting off the Ferrari, but also he getting the slipstream off Ryman's Porsche, which enabled him to have such a great level of pace heading into turn 1, and yet was still able to make that move heading into turn 1.
Yeah, might well make another one up here on Velasco into the first corner, but Jan Lorison arriving on the back of Luke Ibanez's NM Racing Mercedes here. He's within 0.8 of a second now, as we've got 35 minutes left on the clock, 6.5 minutes until the driver change window opens, and we see some pit stops. So the NM Racing car seems to have Lorison covered, and Lorison doing pretty much exactly what he did last season, where he contested a few more rounds, but he came to 9 rounds and won 7 of them, and that's what made him champion last year, but has missed the vast majority of this season. And he joined us at the last round at Monza for the first time, where he took victory, and repeated that feat yesterday as well, hence his 20 seconds of handicap for this race as well. So we expect him to drop back quite significantly. That will rather help out the Pro-Am cars around it, but of course he's running solo, as are a number of the drivers, such as Alex Ryman and Evgeny Leonov, whereas most of the cars have got 2 drivers in them, so Lorison can run at this pace all race long, whereas obviously the Pro-Am drivers, we've got 1 AM in there at some point as well, so it is rather advantageous to be running solo in this series. There's a look at that new Mercedes for this weekend. The Lamborghini also new to GT Cup Europe competition, and hopefully this is a sign of more different types of cars joining us for next year. I mean, this year we had the Ferrari for the first time, and we're also welcoming Lamborghini and Mercedes into this championship as well. Then means 2024 is going to be very exciting indeed if we manage to not only boost the grid numbers, but also get some different marks in there as well, because we like seeing that intermark competition.
Yeah, we certainly do. Alex Ryman. Oh, dearie me, tyres come away this time. You can just see it's actually removed from the actual suspension arm there. Navarretti's tyre, the actual alloy, stripping away as well as the rubber, and that is surely a retirement there for the Ferrari incredible scenes here. Navarrete, who was behind Ryman and also Pisani, losing pace time and time again. The driver getting out of the car as well, and the fight's starting to erupt once again. This time Velasco and Prispolac going at it with Ryman, who was getting so close behind. He was a tenth of a second away from Prispolac. Prispolac going for the move this time on Velasco, heading through the next ride past the champions now elect this season, and Alex Ryman following suit. A double overtake, a double loss as well for Ivan Velasco, and now Xander Prispolac moves his way up the field. He's now in P5.
Wow, they're doing exactly the same to what they did to Navarrete, but his race has sadly come to an end. Just trying to think if he was close to anyone else, whether he's made contact with someone. We've got yellow flags being waved at turn 13. Wonder if we'll get a safety car. Only 3.5 minutes until the driver change window opens, so that would shake things up a little bit. Prispolac and Ryman now up into 5th and 6th, and Ryman looks like he fancies getting that place back from Prispolac as well. Of course, the Belgian made his way past the Estonian a little bit earlier on while they were looking for a way past Navarrete. The 18-year-old Estonian looks like he wants to get back through and take 5th place away from Xander Prispolac. I'm sure Prispolac, who's been confirmed AM champion along with Laurent van der Velde for 2023, wants to get after his teammate Quentin Antonell, but they're separated by some 9.5 seconds at the moment. So just under 32 minutes left to go. Still yellow flags waving down at turn 13 for Navarrete, stricken Mertel Motorsport Ferrari 488 Challenge. Incidentally, the Ferrari pulled the covers off the new 296 Challenge earlier in the week as well. 700 brake horsepower from, I'm just having a listen there because it sounded like Prispolac had some sort of problem there, but he seems to be going fine. Yes, the new 296, 700 brake horsepower from the 3-litre twin-turbo V6. That is some 30 more than what we see in the Ferrari Challenge 488 at the moment. Fully expecting to see some 296s on the GT Cup Europe grid for next year. Mertel certainly looking to have one on the grid, and Kessel, I'm sure, will be hoping to secure one for this grid as well. So we'll have a combination of the 296s and the 488s next year, in what will be a bit of a transitional season between the two different models of the car. This is Stephen Licorice going to get around the outside of the 21 and ends up into the gravel. Camille Perriand not leaving an awful lot of space there on the 29 on the entry to the corner, but unfortunately for Stephen Licorice, his car's facing the wrong way.
Yeah, it certainly is. Gets it back underway though and avoids the gravel trap, which is a very smooth move indeed, and rejoins with the Ferrari that will be swapping in for Luca Ludwig later on. Let's take a look at the replay again, and yes, just literally next to zero room there. Might have left it a little late heading down towards Seat, but still nonetheless pivoting the car. The rear end just coming away as he made his way through the obviously the section of track which has certainly not necessarily a great amount of grip, especially when you touch the grass, and unfortunately pivoting the car the wrong way around. So he's got a little bit of work to do to regain the places that he's lost, but Stephen Licorice now down to 14th.
This is our race leader. Marzio Moretti leads by 3.9 seconds to Luc Ibanez, the NM Racing Mercedes. And then Jan Laurensen has fallen back a little bit from that Mercedes, 1.6 seconds back from Ibanez. Now this Lamborghini running very nicely indeed, and adaptations having to be made for the GT Cup Europe, of course running on different tyres, what it's used to in the Super Trofeo Europe. There's Michelin's in this series. I'm sure the same is said of the NM Racing Mercedes as well. If bred for GT2 competition, they're normally running Pirellis in that particular series. So some adaptations having to be made. And here you'll see what I mean by the weight transfer on this Lamborghini, which is very visible to see when it gets on the anchors. And you watch it lean across as it goes through the right-hander.
You can see the difference in ride height, especially at the front, especially when it plants the brakes, so that the whole car lurches forward as you'd expect. It is so much more aggressive than its GT3 counterpart. The Super Trofeo, obviously, as we see in competition in Lamborghini of course, competition in itself. They run a very successful driving school indeed, and take in drivers all around the world, Moretti being one of them as well, representing this outfit, of course, this Italian team with an Italian driver behind the wheel as well, and this young 21-year-old that has been hailed by Lamborghini as a future star, and oh so experienced and mature for his age. Taking the car around here, 12 laps so far, 4.4 seconds ahead of Ibanez. He will, of course, be handing over to Enrico Patera when the driver change window opens up in 7 minutes' time. And it'll be down to Patera to bring the car home in hopes of securing a first race win in GT Cup competition here for the Oregon team, who could not quite clinch the International GTOpen title, but nonetheless, I'm sure they'll be back next year, as they always are. They run such a good team, a great ship, shall we say, considering they are the pirate team. And here at this point, Moretti proving that fact here, certainly with the GT Cup Open Championship performance so far. Now we're seeing a driver change already. Oh, sorry, it ends in 6 minutes. I was a little bit behind the time. I read the clock wrong. 6 minutes and 30 left in the driver change window. So Florentin Sescu comes in for Camel Perrion for the Romanian outfit. Now, just to let you know about this car, folks, of course, they did have a smash during free practice. They had to procure a car from Q1 Track Racing, so having to get another Porsche to race this weekend. Luca Ludwig stepping in for Stephen Licorice, who jumps out the car. In comes Ludwig now. And I'm sure without any shadow of a doubt we'll see more. Babini also jumping in his car as well. Fabio Fabiani jumping in his. So 4 cars taking the pit stop. As we now see them all jump straight in. Moretti, I think, is going to do the continuation here right through to the bitter end. And at least then it'll be down to Enrico Patera, well, to take the latter stint as the driver change window comes to an end. Jan Lauritsen coming in as well.
Jan Lauritsen taking the earlier opportunity to make his stop. Just get it out of the way and surf his handicap as well. So he comes into the pits. There'll be very little action going on down there. Just take on some fluids, I'm sure, by the look of it. But out comes the 21 there, just coming behind the Q1 Track Racing Porsche. That's Florentin Sescu now at the wheel of the R01 Racing Porsche. Alex Ryman into the pits as well, checking tyre pressures there from EST1 Racing. No need to change tyres in this race, and of course no driver change for Ryman to complete as well. Moretti here, I'm sure, will extend this stint as long as possible for the remaining 5 minutes before the driver change window closes, and he has to hand over to his bronze counterpart Enrico Patera. So Moretti on his way, his lead now 4.7 seconds over Luke Ibanez. And Quentin Antonell and Alexander Prispolak sitting in just behind them in 3rd and 4th, with Lauritsen having come into the pits. Ryman as well, he's not unhandicapped, is he? He's got 10 seconds to take during his stop. As does, of course, the number 80 Mertel Motorsport car, our new champions for this year. They've got 10 seconds to take. Moretti ticks off another lap. 25 minutes left in this race. 4 minutes left on the driver change window now, and Moretti stretching his advantage even further. It's now 5 seconds, with Ibanez 3.7 ahead of Quentin Antonell. And 47 coming out just in front of the leader, so a lap down, but of course he's just made his pit stop. The race leader has not yet done so, and the back end of that Lamborghini stepping out quite a bit. It's a very aggressive car, but we see often the back end stepping out quite a lot. In comes Ivan Velasco. Jorge Cabezas will get on board that number 80 Mertal Motorsport Ferrari that has dominated this season. It's currently in 5th place, and I'm sure now Cabezas will go on a bit of a charge and try and get that car back up onto the podium, but of course they've still got that 10 seconds of handicap to take, as I mentioned. Evgeny Leonov now into the Spa Enduro, but he hasn't made it to the actual pit stop in the 5 races we've had since then, as Moretti has cleared Ryman in front of him. 66 now making his way in. That's Roberto Fecchio for GDL, and he had got himself into the top 10 during this pit stop phase as well. Eugenio Pisani getting on board the number 44 SP Racing car. So Stefano Zanini handing that car over to Pisani. Vecchio there, another solo driver, so very little action in the actual pit stop, as out comes the Mertel Ferrari coming out behind Alex Ryman there. So Cabezas going to have to get his elbows out and try and charge his way through, but the Ferrari not really suiting this particular track. Of course, the Ferrari this season has dominated the straights with its additional power over the Porsche, but Porsche is very quick in the corners, and this circuit is mostly corners. In fairness, Quentin Antonell, his work for the season is done. Hands over now to Nico van Dierendonck, and Laurent van der Velde taking over from Zander Prisbalak in the Sister 52 car as well. So we'll see where they come out in relation to Cabezas and Ryman, of course.
Moretti should be coming in as well now, so we should expect him in on this lap. Currently 1 minute and 25 to go, and Moretti, who's been certainly on a charge and holding on to his place at the very top, 5 seconds clear of Luc Ibanez. He'll be following him in as well, but Ibanez and Villebahn have got 5 seconds to serve on top of their standard allocated pit stop time. So obviously with the Oregon team outfit not needing to serve any additional on top of the basic handicap that they have to serve during the pit stop phase, it means once again not only will they have the advantage of actually leading this race, but also having no additional time to serve during the stop. So here they go. They should come into the pits now, you'd expect. Yes, in he comes. Marzio Moretti, the race leader, comes into the pits, being joined as well, you'd imagine, by Luc Ibanez. Jan Lauritsen as well, who's already served his time, now up into third place after going past Nicolas van Dierendonck, Laurent van der Velde and Indrek Jasker. Batera now is about to jump in, Enrico Batera. We've got Jörg Villebahn, who's going to step into the Mercedes-AMG GT Cup for the NM Racing team. Lauritsen essentially a lap down at this point, has to try and make the time back. He might have a chance of making it here on Villebahn here, but certainly Batera is going to be a very high mounted decline.
Well, the unhandicapped car certainly will be, but in the gravel here is the number 11 SP Racing Porsche.
Go on, get it off. Come on. We might not yet get a safety car here as the 11 now makes its way out. Fabio Fabiani now rejoining the track. So there we go. We should soon go green. And there's Jan Lauritsen, who makes his way through turn 9, heading down towards turn 10. Let's see where he comes out, as the end of change has been confirmed by race control.
A little swapper there through turns 7 and 8 for Fabiani. Gets that car in the gravel, but luckily was able to get it back out again. Now that NM Racing car still in the pits. Remember, it's got small handicap to take. Out comes the Lamborghini, and where is Jan Lauritsen? Nowhere in sight. So Enrico Batera will have a nice healthy advantage for the remaining 20 minutes of this race. He emerges in the lead, and Villebahn I think will come out in second place as well. We'll see where he ends up with Lauritsen. Still absolutely nose to tail are 52 and 47. This time Alex Ryman finds himself battling with Laurent van der Velde. Same car, different driver, still squabbling over that 6th place spot.
Yeah, looks like that Jan Lauritsen still has a mountain to climb on P2, and Jörg Villebahn has got quite the gap that's holding it together. The gap, though, not as bad as first necessarily thought, certainly between that of saying that, Villebahn and Batera, 11.4 seconds off Batera at the very top. Remember that 5 seconds becoming all the more crucial. Now, this is the battle between the car in green that Zander Prisbalak was driving before. No longer, of course. He's, of course, served his prior pit stop. And now, incoming now, the EST1 Porsche. He looks to try and take it down the inside, heading through towards the next right, heading through Repsol, and the number 47 of Alex Ryman charging past Laurent van der Velde there for 6th place, and doing it in great style as well, inside Tiger line, smooth as you like.
Nicely done from Alex Ryman, moves himself up into 6th place. And yes, Villebahn here already looking to close down the gap to Enrico Batera. Of course, Jörg Villebahn, very experienced driver. You see a nice little replay here of the 52. Oh, lovely slide into the first corner. That gave Ryman a bit of momentum there. yeah, lead gap's going to be coming down. Surely it's already 10.4 for the remaining 18.5 minutes. Wiebahn, very, very successful in GT4 competition. As we see again, the move that Alex Ryman put on Nico van Dierendonck for, Laurent van der Velde for 6th place. Jörg Wiebahn in 2nd place, hunting down the race leader now, very experienced in GT4 machinery. He was a European Series champion in 2016 and GT4 class winner at the Bathurst 12 Hour in 2017. He's won class races at the Nürburgring 24 Hour, which he's appeared in 16 times. So the 59-year-old German driver from Engelskirchen going to be doing his best to hunt down the Italian Botero, who currently leads this race.
Yeah, Coppa Italia champion back in 2013, 14 and 15, and now making his way through the next right-hander, still in the lead of this race, with Wiebahn now looking to try and close up in the Mercedes. 9.5 seconds now, the difference. And as I look out my commentary box window, I can see the car all dressed in silver powering its way through as well. And not to mention the Oregon car that's now taking the ascent up through towards Bank Saint-Bedel. The Merc now following suit as they make their way up the hill as well. Botero looking to bring this home and hose. 17 minutes to go already, though. Wiebahn breaking to within that 9-second gap. It's now 8.6. And just look at the deltas. They are massive, very nearly losing a second alone in Sector 2, as well as, in fact, looking further back as well, losing out 2/10. So I tell you what, Jörg Wiebahn really eating into the deficit between Botero and Wiebahn on this occasion. Wiebahn there in the distance, in the Mercedes. NM Racing, he'll cross the line. We'll soon see how much of a difference Sector 3 has made. And look at that, and again, a very near whole second that very nearly separates the pair that's just been brought straight back down again. 7.7 seconds the gap. Is Botero going to be able to hang on here?
Yeah, Wiebahn was 2 seconds quicker on that last lap alone. So the gap down to 7.7, and big pressure on for Enrico Botero now to try and hang on to this. The question is, will there be enough laps left for Wiebahn to catch and make a move on Botero? Jan Lauritsen going with them as well. He's lapping himself almost 2 seconds quicker than Wiebahn. So top three, we've got the slowest driver, slowest driver at the front, but the car at the back, and they're moving in towards each other, but at a rate of 2 seconds a lap. And Lauritsen is the fastest of them at the moment. 4 seconds faster than our race leader last time around, and his gap to Botero is 18.4 seconds, but he's only 11 behind Wiebahn, so this could close up very nicely towards the end of the race.
It could well do, and obviously we know how fast Lauritsen is, and it's definitely achievable, that 11.1 seconds, because we still have 15 minutes and 20. Obviously with the 11.1 second gap, it'll soon come cascading downwards if he continues to usher in the Sector 1 times that he's bringing in as well. 31.7 in the first sector for Lauritsen against the 31.9 from Jörg Wiebahn. 32.3 from Enrico Botero up at the front. And again, look at the difference again. It's 1.5 seconds improved, well, certainly more in Jan Lauritsen's favour as opposed to Enrico Botero, who now crosses the line to begin yet another lap. As we take a look at Nicolas van Dierendonck, currently leading the AM contingent, with Eugenio Pisani hunting him down, only 0.6 of a second away. Head out now of the Bank Saint-Bedel section with the grandstands there lit up as well. There is our 2022 GT Cup Open champion, Jan Lauritsen, winner here as well all those years ago, back here at this very circuit, back in 2021, here in this actual race, to be honest. Race 2 was where he was crowned a victor. Let's see if lightning strikes twice again here, Jan, as he now makes his way through the first sector this time around, with 19 laps now concluded here at Montemelo. I look forward to seeing how he gets on. Botero is still accruing a decent enough amount of pace, but obviously now 5.4 is all that separates Wiebahn and Botero, as Van Dierendonck now comes under excruciating pressure. Eugenio Pisani turning on the style here for 4th place as they make their way around the Renault section. Repsol to come, and look who's coming to join them as well, Alex Ryman.
Yeah, Pisani's split those cars, but he's closing in on Van Dierendonck. That's the AM class leader at 44 there, the Pisani car. He's the silver in that car. He's the Italian GT Cup champion of 2017. And he and Stefano Zanini were together in the GT Cup Europe last year as well, where they finished 4th overall. Hasn't quite been as much of a successful campaign as it was last year for that pairing. Only one podium finish to their name so far this year, but at the moment he's closing on Van Donk for what is 4th place, and Ryman's following him as well in 6th, pulling away from Laurent van der Velde now. So since Ryman's made that move, he's cleared off down the distance. But Van Donk, he's got the AM lead, but coming under pressure from 2 Pro-Am cars behind him. He's got 13 minutes left on the clock. And car 52, that is the Laurent van der Velde car, our reigning champions, been given an 8-second time penalty for not serving the handicap correctly. So that would drop them 2 places as it stands. In the meantime, Pisani making his move down the inside on Van Donk into turn 1, and he gets himself up into 4th place. Alex Ryman now looking for a way through in the similar Porsche as well. We've got the older generation car leading the newer one at the moment in this train of 3.
Yeah, Alex Ryman almost pushing around Van Donk as well, heading through the first sector. Van Donk going slightly defensive, has a look down the inside as well at the same time here on Eugenio Pisani. Looking at the sector times again for the top 3, and it is getting very, very tight as well. Jan Lauritsen has done a splendid job to close down to P2, 6.9 seconds, as well as Jörg Bierbarn, who's closed up to 5.2 seconds as well. Confirmation there, as Chris alluded to, the 8-second time penalty for not respecting the handicap time by car number 52 belonging to Laurent van der Velde. He also received a warning for track limits at turn 13 as well for his, just to add insult to injury there on that occasion, as they make their way through this next right yet again. And Van Donk, still remaining 3/10 in behind, has done a good job of staying within tow of Eugenio Pisani. So you see them head down now towards turn 10. And, more cars in behind. Babini as well in this fight has moved ahead of Laurent van der Velde. He's not the only one. Jorge Cabezas also fancying a move of his own as well, so brushing past the car that has just sustained that no respect handicap time penalty of 8 seconds, also receiving a warning. Now he sees himself topple further down the order as Cabezas goes through as well, past that Porsche, as well as Fabio Babini.
So Cabezas into 8th place. He's got about a second or so to Babini ahead of him. Final 10 minutes of the season, and side by side now between Alex Ryman in the EST1 car on the inside of Niccolo Van Donk, and he gets through past the AM car into 5th place on the inside. Another lovely drive here from the 18-year-old Estonian, who's been improving a lot and working his way up the order. Of course, Van Donk still holds on to the AM lead. His nearest competitor. That sounded like tyre squeal into turn 4. Are we going to see a car facing the wrong way here? It looked like Pisani maybe had a big moment, because I seem to remember him being a little bit further up the road ahead of Ryman before that corner.
Yeah, a big wail there from the car. Obviously the tyres just perhaps sliding a little bit, making their way around around the Repsol corner as they made their way around turn 4. So now take the upward ascent. Let's have a look at this now. This is the battle, obviously, between Cabezas and Van der Velde. Cabezas sticking to the inside, getting the move done as well. And this is the onboard view as well, as that move was made off the back of Van der Velde's car. Obviously, we're looking through the windshield and seeing Cabezas there. Did have a little look, and I tell you what, got very close between the pair as well on the rise up through back Sambadel. And another replay here on the TV cameras. Great move by Cabezas, your champion in the GT Cup Open. He's done it in great style too as well. There's Jan Lauritsen making his way down the straight, and looking back at the sector times again, I can tell you that he is certainly ushering even faster lap times. I tell you what, in comparison to Patera, it's around 1.5 seconds the difference in sector 3 alone. And looking at sector 2, he gained an almighty second, as well as in sector 1, gaining yet more time as well. And look at the gap between him and P2 as well, because Jörg Bierbarn is going to be met with company That'll, of course, be in Lauritsen very soon. 3.1 seconds between the pair and 3.4 separating Vierban and Batera. So 8 minutes and 30 to go. And an almighty three-car scrap could yet erupt for P1 here in this race at Barcelona, as now we see Evgeny Leonov, should I say, who, of course, we rumoured or thought might have had issues earlier on in the race. Obviously served his handicap mid-pit stop, has just made the move himself as well, just brushing past some other contenders here too. As the car number 16 rides on through turn 1, just dodging a little bit of traffic almost.
Yeah, I think that was actually him putting a lap on it. So 8 minutes to go, and when we checked in a few minutes ago on that lead gap, it was 18 seconds covering the top three. It is now 5.5, with the lead gap only 3.3 in itself as well. So Enrico Patera, the 52-year-old Italian bronze driver, is going to come under a fair bit of pressure here from, firstly, Jörg Vierban, the 59-year-old German, and then Jan Lauritsen in the 54 machine.
Jan Lauritsen had a major moment there, literally round in the final corner, and could have very easily lost the rear. It skipped over the curb ever so slightly. It unsettled the Porsche to quite some extent, but did well to keep the car on track. 1.3 seconds now away from Vierban, so this fight is going to be kicking on very, very soon. Now, Lauritsen will, of course, like to dispatch Vierban as soon as possible to give himself the clean air so he can then attack Patera before the end of this race.
Alex Ryman looking to line up another move here, this time on Eugenio Pisani for 4th place. Pisani in that previous generation Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car in 44 from SP Racing. That is a Pro-Am entry. He was sharing the car with Stefano Zanini earlier on. Alex Ryman running solo by comparison for EST1 Racing in the newer version of the Cup Porsche. This is the battle for 4th place, which is some 28 seconds behind the top 3 battle. That is now covered by 4.5 seconds. And as Lauritsen here is on the back now of Vierban for 2nd place. So it's not over yet for Lauritsen. He could still make it back-to-back victories in the GT Cup Europe this weekend after a pretty sensational display yesterday, but this would surely be one of the most hard-fought as he draws level with the Mercedes through the left-hander of turns 10 and 11 as they get into the right-hander of 12. Big outbraking manoeuvre around the outside, and the Belgian is ahead.
He certainly is. Great move from Jan Lauritsen as well, moving now into 2nd place. He's going to look to try and close the gap of Enrico Patera. Obviously now looking around 3 seconds of difference, which certainly based on what we've seen already, and just look at the deltas, 2 seconds, 2.1 in lap 22, 2.4 in lap 21, and lap 20 is 1.5 as now Patera looks to try and clear some of the traffic. And Jan Lauritsen will be doing exactly the same as well. That's Roberto Vecchio, who's currently standing in between them at this stage. But Jan Lauritsen, knowing that the leader is right ahead of him here, take a look at the deltas here against the pair here this time too. Lap 24, 1.8 seconds. Even if that's his worst lap, that is still extraordinary. And take a look at this. We see Lauritsen flashing the lights, desperate to make this a 2nd consecutive win here this weekend. I'm sure as well to follow up from 2 sensational pole positions that he sustained back at Monza and here at this very circuit at Barcelona. He's going to be looking to go to the top again in a fantastic move yet again as he brushed past the Mercedes.
Nice wide open line into 10, able to draw alongside the Mercedes through 11. And that's the difference in the braking performance between the Porsche and the Mercedes. The Mercedes, again, another car that favours the straight line performance, and we see Lauritsen is closing 1.8 seconds back at the start of the middle sector. I dare say it's considerably less than that now, as he was almost 2 seconds quicker on the previous lap. It's now just 1 second for the lead of the race and 4.5 minutes left to go. Jan Lauritsen is in a wonderful position here to make it back-to-back victories in the season finale in Barcelona, closing right up as they go through the right-hander of turn 12. Enrico Patera was given the car in a pretty good position by his teammate Marzio Moretti that started this car on pole position. The 21-year-old Italian pulling out a nice gap, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough, I think, to keep Jan Lauritsen at bay for Enrico Patera, as the Porsche now sits right in the slipstream, and Lauritsen surely will have a look up the inside into the first corner And, Patera is getting very close here to the front of the Porsche, and he was just able to hang on. The Lamborghini doing very nicely on the brakes for the first corner, but surely it's a matter of when rather than if for Jan Lauritsen to make his move. The 2022 Series champion going up against the Super Trofeo Europe pairing. There's won races so far in the last couple of years with Moretti, and still they are nose to tail going through the middle sector, and only just over 3 minutes left on the clock. I think Patera still fancies this win here, although wide on the exit at turn 5. This is Lauritsen's opportunity here. They draw it level, and the Porsche will pull clear by the time they get into turn 7, and Jan Lauritsen retakes the lead.
Yeah, this could be yet his third win in 4 races in the GT Cup Open this season. And in every occasion he has raced in this championship this season, he has taken a podium. His worst finish being 2nd place at this moment in time back at Monza in race 2. He looks set to once again be crowned a race winner. And what a fight back, obviously 18 seconds behind to claw it back in now with 2.5 minutes to go. Great defensive effort there from Enrico Patera, because using all that experience from being a Coppa Italia champion back in 2013, 14 and 15. Obviously a lot of rubbing his racing attitude is utilised in that style of racing, but to bring his best to the forefront and defend the place at Oregon really did like that as well, as we now saw when we now look at the move that Jan Lauritsen utilised to grasp the lead of this race. Fabulous indeed, utilising the Porsche's expertise in the corners, and heading up Perth, it's just ideal for that kind of car.
2 laps to go, Lauritsen establishing his lead. It will be a 3rd victory in just 4 races for the Belgian, providing nothing happens to that car in the closing stages of this race. But for Enrico Patera and Marzio Moretti, still be a wonderful 2nd place finish. And just checking, actually, it will be a similar result to what we saw yesterday, but the Oregon and the NM Racing car, as it stands, would be swapped around. NM Racing was 2nd yesterday, Oregon 3rd. So we've still got another battle here. Fabio Babini has been working his way up the order, aboard that number 78 ZRS Motorsport Porsche, and now looks to make a move here on Eugenio Pisani. Yes, P Racing Porsche. Got a nice tight line out of turn 3 there, has Babini, the Italian 53-year-old on the inside here. Now Babini goes through into 4th place, but Pisani trying to get an undercut there, so much so that he actually took some of the grass on the inside there. And we're talking about Super Trofeo champions. Babini is one of them. He's won the Super Trofeo championship in 2009 and 2011, along with ELMS titles, Italian GT titles, and Le Mans Cup titles as well. A vastly experienced and successful driver is Babini, and he's now in 4th place for ZRS Motorsport. It was Davide Scanicchio that started that car, and in this year being their European debut for that team, actually. Having seen a lot of success in Carrera Cup Italy, they've won 3 titles there. Now taking on the European scene in GT Cup Europe. Babini into 4th, and Jan Lauritsen has just started his final lap.
Yeah, he certainly has, coming through turns 1 and 2, and Patera's got to be careful here because V-Bahn is still closing, and currently sat in P3. Obviously the gap now 1.1 seconds if V-Bahn can muster a little bit more delta. Of course, again, he was faster in Sector 1 on the previous lap, as well as in Sector 2 as well. And as they look to make their way around on this final time here in this championship, Jan Lauritsen, who we will not crown a champion this time around, but will close out what he has certainly been part of in this championship in style. As I said, this will be his 3rd race win of the campaign. 3 wins in 4 races, 4 podiums in 4 races. Not a bad final couple of rounds for Jan Lauritsen, and to do it in front with his family watching on. We saw them all during the interviews over the course of qualifying right through the weekend. Certainly a deserving victory for such a grand performance here at the last dance here at Barcelona. It certainly has been a blockbuster, and Jan Lauritsen has brought it to the forefront.
And he and this team got a long history of working together. The Bell Car Endurance Championship in 2021, where they first came to the GTOpen that year. Victors in the championship, of course, last year, and in the final 2 rounds, this driver-car combination has continued to dominate. Jan Lauritsen exits the final corner, back-to-back victories in the season finale for the Belgian driver. Q1 Track Racing, our team's champions in GT Cup Europe in 2023. Team Oregon comes home in 2nd place with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. A lovely drive from Enrico Patera in the second half of that race, and Jörg Wiebahn makes it 2 podiums for the NM Racing Mercedes alongside Luke Ibanez. Next across the line will be Fabio Babini aboard the ZRS Motorsports Porsche, then Eugenio Pisani for SP Racing. Not too far apart as Babini crosses the line in 4th now, Pisani in 5th. And there are our 2023 overall champions, Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas from Mertel Motorsports. It's a debut Drivers' Championship for team and manufacturer in the series. Across the line as well comes Laurent van der Velde and Zander Prisbalak, 10th overall after that penalty, but 2nd in class, and that confirms them as AM champions.
Yeah, fantastic, certainly, for them. Congratulations, Jorge Cabezas and Ivan Velasco, your drivers' champions this series. And whilst Jan Lauritsen loses out on the crown this season after only competing in the last 2 rounds, he does bring home the big points for the Q1 Track Racing team. The marshals giving him a clap inwards as he now looks set to finish his in-lap, and he'll beckon his way into Parc Fermé. Take us to the results, Chris.
Results of the final race of the 2023 GT Cup Europe season. It's back-to-back victories for Jan Lauritsen and Q1 Track Racing. Moretti and Patera for Team Oregon, and NM Racing's Ibanez and Wiebahn once again on the podium. Davide Scanicia and Fabio Babini in 4th place, and Eugenio Pisani in 5th. Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, their final race as champions this year, in 6th. Quentin Antonell, Nico van Dierendonk in 7th with the AM victory. Then Alex Ryman, Evgeny Leonov, Zander Prisbalak and Laurent van der Velde. Another Q1 Track Racing pairing completing the top 10. Kamil Perrien and Florentin Cescu in 11th, and Indrik Jaska. Luka Ludwig and Stephen Licorice from Mertel Motorsport in 13th. Roberto Vecchio, Stefano Zerbi and Fabio Fabiani. Stefano Bozzoni and Fernando Navarrete didn't make it to the checkered flag, and Andrea Bellici never got going, unfortunately, aboard his Rosso Corsa Racing. Here's the final standings. Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, champions in 2023. Laurent van der Velde and Zander Prisbalak, AM champions in 2023. And in comes Jan Lauritsen now into pit lane. His Q1 Track Racing team will be waiting to celebrate that team's championship. And they have been a force to be reckoned with. Although Mertel Motorsport has come out very strong with the Ferrari and taken the Drivers' Championship, in terms of consistently scoring points for the team's championship, it's been Q1 Track Racing all the way.
Yeah, also a superb performance from the Oregon team as well. That is back-to-back podiums here at Barcelona. So a nice way for them to enter and also end the championship. Might give themselves a great impetus into competing next season. We'll have to wait and see if that does happen. Of course, 2024 is going to be an exciting campaign after already witnessing the crossover of new manufacturers, as we can now see by the graphic the confirmation of Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas becoming champions as it makes its way into Parc Fermé. And I'm sure the team at Mertel Motorsport are going to certainly celebrate, and Q1 are going to celebrate as well, being the team's champions this season, once again providing such a strong outfit with the returning Jan Lauritsen and Jerry Cannaviccio. Whilst it wasn't to be today in the International GTOpen, he will celebrate another podium and seeing his colours up on the top steps again.
Yeah, Enrico's got the best helmet there, the puzzle pieces, and oh, look at this, a last lap drama for Alex Ryman there. And that will explain why he dropped down the order. He was down in 8th place. Looks like a late drama for the 81, Luka Ludwig, pushing that car very hard into 13th place, but that's the champions of 2023 finally confirmed. And you see Mario Grumt there, the team principal of Mertel Motorsport, on the right-hand side, celebrating their team's drivers' championship, I should say. First season for both manufacturer and team in this championship, and they've come away with the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, there's Jan Lauritsen celebrating with the rest of his team, and hopefully we get to see him back again next season. Of course, he'll be looking to try and retake his crown back away from Jorge Cabezas and Ivan Velasco. Walking with a bit of a limp though, Chris.
Yeah, a little bit. Eggerterium celebrating with them as well, but for third place, NM Racing, Luke Ibanez and Jorg Vierban. Once again on the podium, Team Oregon, the Lamborghini Super Trofeo being driven by Enrico Botera and Marzio Moretti. But for the third time in 4 races, he does come back in style, doesn't he? Jan Lauritsen, the Belgian for Q1 Track Racing, takes the victory. He's with Alfredo.
Another time. But this time was more difficult.
Yeah, but in the beginning I knew the Lamborghini and the Mercedes were very fast, so I keep a little bit distance to save my tires. So I knew in the second stint I was faster. So yeah, I didn't push too hard in the first stint. So.
But it's a win, it's a double win in Barcelona, and maybe we'll see you back next year more often.
Yeah, I really like to be in Barcelona. The organization was really good, so I had fun. That's the most important.
Well done, all the best.
I'm not surprised he's having a good time. He keeps winning, so wouldn't expect anything less. As Mertel celebrates their Drivers' Championship, let's take a look back at the highlights from today's race. It was Moretti leading from pole position, Lauritsen with a charge. But the NM racing car was the big mover down into turn 1, around the outside, had to take to the escape road, and as did Lauritsen. That put him in second place as Moretti moved down the inside to take the lead of the race into turn 5. Lovely move from the Lamborghini against the Mercedes. This intermark competition is something we're really hoping to see more of next year. The battle between Q1 Track Racing and EST1's Alex Ryman was certainly very closely fought as Moretti built up his advantage so that Botera could have a nice big lead when they came out of the pits. We saw this moment for Stephen Licorice aboard the 81 Mertel Motorsport Ferrari, getting squeezed and spinning into the gravel as in came the race leading Oregon Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Enrico Botera climbed on board that car with a nice advantage as the Alex Ryman and 52 Q1 Porsche battle brewed on. This time Ryman came out ahead of Laurent van der Velde. Up the inside went Jan Lauritsen for second place. Nice move at turn 12, eventually to take second place as he hunted down the race leader and got set about that gap. And it was only a little wide moment there for Botera, who did manage to hold the reigning champion at bay for quite some time, but there was no stopping Lauritsen once he found this maneuver into turn 7, and the Belgian was on his way to a third victory in 4 races and helping Q1 Track Racing to the team's title in 2023. Fantastic display from both the Belgian team and driver. Not the most exuberant of celebrations, I'm sure, feeling it in the body a little bit, having done both races solo this weekend. He's put in more effort than most, it's fair to say, as you now welcome the drivers onto the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously a great scene, obviously, for the likes of Jorg Vierban and his teammate and colleague, Luke Ibanez, celebrating with NM Racing on the podium here again, and joining the Oregon team Lamborghini outfit that see themselves back on top in a GT Sport organisation event, this time in the GT Cup Open. And now your race winner, Jan Lauritsen, who I'm sure will celebrate, as will Q1 Track Racing. It's another top step for him, something that he's oh so used to in this championship. And of course the representative from Q1 Track Racing, who is going to be absolutely thrilled, certainly with their performance once again in taking yet another title.
Well, they certainly will. And for both driver and team, it's the Belgian national anthem. A fantastic end to the campaign for Jan Lauritsen. If we see more of him next season, then I expect to see more of the same. He's been as dominant as he was last season as the trophies are handed out. Third place going to Luke Ibanez and Jorg Vierbahn's NM Racing Mercedes AMG GT Cup Evo. Second podium of the weekend for them after finishing second yesterday. Same for Oregon, they were third yesterday, second today. And Jesus, the CEO of the GT Sport organization, going to be handing out the second place trophies to Enrico Botera and Marzio Moretti. We wait for the race-winning trophy for Jan Lauritsen. I think he picked both of them up yesterday. I might well do the same again. As the director of the Circuit Barcelona Catalunya hands trophy to both driver and team there. So victory for Q1 Track Racing once again, wrapping up the team's title with it as well. They'll pose for the photo. And hopefully they're a bit more enthusiastic with the champagne than some of the GTOpen lot we saw earlier. Makes for great photos.
Bit of a squeeze there for the Oregon team to jump on.
He's lost one of his stickers, his Velcro stickers.
That's unfortunate, but nonetheless, credit to both drivers. Marzio Moretti giving it his best. We will be getting, of course, the AM podium as well. And we'll be bringing that to you very, very shortly. But great to see them all celebrating live on the podium too. So credit to each and every single one of them. Marzio getting a little extra there from the Mercedes pairing.
Jan was out of there as quick as a flash. He didn't want any part.
Not wasting any time.
No, exactly.
Almost as quick as he was in the final stint.
Yeah. Right. Right. So AM podium coming up next, and that will be the 57 Q1 Track Racing. It's another overall and class victory once again for Q1 Track Racing, with Nico van Dierendonck and Quentin Antonell as victors in that class. Second was the new champions Laurent van der Velde and Zander Prisbalak aboard 52. Third in class was the 21 RO1 Racing Camille Perriand and Florin Tincescu.
Impressive result for them, especially after the damage they sustained in practice, losing the car, and then, as I said before, earlier on in the race, having to head to the Q1 Track Racing team to borrow a car, essentially, for the rest of this weekend. So coming off the back of that and suddenly converting it into a class podium is no mean feat.
Their first class podium of the season as well. So, way to end the season with their best result.
Something tells me they'll be buying that car.
Yes. Quite. Of course, no surprise to see Q1 1-2 again. They have been the class of the field for Laurent van der Velde and Zander Prisbalak. It is a 7th appearance of the season on the podium, and a 6th one for van Dierendonck and Antonell as well, which is not bad considering, if I remember rightly, they only joined us at Spa.
Well,
actually, they might have been even later than that, actually, Paul Ricard. So the last 3 rounds have been exceptional for this pairing.
Yeah, they're a phenomenal pairing indeed. Quentin Antonell, of course, van Dierendonck has been around as well for quite a few years in this championship. Of course, competed last season, and Quentin Antonell also making appearances this season too. And certainly with van der Velde, who's also a constant appearer. Both he and van Dierendonck had many scraps last season, and great to see them sharing the podium together this time around, as the trophies get delivered again by Mr. Santa Maria, the race director, clerk of the circuit as well.
Well, that's all she wrote in the 2023 GT Cup Europe here in Barcelona, and the championship will return in 2024. We'll see you then.